Hello, testing. Can you guys hear me okay? Where's my fucking... Good morning, guys. Earlier today, because I have to do something at 10 o'clock, so figured I would just hop on now. Alrighty. Awesome. For those who are on the live, make sure to just use the YouTube chat because that's what I have open. I don't have enough fucking screen real estate to have Discord, YouTube, TradingView, chart, or dashboard. How's everyone's morning so far? How's it going, guys? Gee, there is something I wanted to show. Great. Nice. So remember, right? Days like today, where you just have one. Who remembers, right? There was one time we were talking about our one of our favorite. How do you decide which gamma to use? It is confusing. I just use raw. That's just my personal preference. I have all of them up, but I mostly stick to raw. That is the one that I really stick to. Okay, back to what I was saying. Who remembers the types of days that we said that the best setup is when you have one giant gamma bar, right? And then it's like 40 points away, 20 to 20, anywhere between 20, 30, 40, 50 points away. Those are the types of days where it's like fucking buy your call and then close your fucking eyes, right? What we opened at 51.62, right? And we have this giant bar at 5,200. All you have to do is buy something that will go in the money, so the 51.90s, right? And then close your fucking eyes till you hit 5,200. But yeah, right. These are the types of days, right? I mean, still, we haven't hit 5,200 yet, but I don't doubt by the end of today we may hit it. But there was also that one day where it was flashing 51.50, but there were a couple bars going up that had pretty significant gamma. But if you look at this, it's literally just 5,200. That's just massive, where it's like nothing else it comes anywhere near it. So that being said, it's kind of just those are the types of those are the really good days where it's like you buy calls that open and just close your eyes. And any pullback, you can pretty much buy calls and then wait for 5,200. Can I use this for any ticker that is... Yeah, you can use it for any ticker, right? This isn't to say that you can't. However, just keep in mind the reason why it's most impactful on SPX is because SPX takes up 16% of the options market cap. So like something like NVIDIA, maybe that's been moving a lot, then you'll see some sort of significant value, but it's pretty much pinned at 950 for today, right? Also keep in mind, there's ODTE. What about for puts? For puts, if you miss that morning move, the trade that I would pretty much look out for is if we can get a tap of 5,200, right? And then that's where you would short. Once again, so long as there are no GEX pickups above, right? So you just got to watch out for that. GEX above is like the main question that you kind of want to look out for. Where it's like if there's GEX above, then you may want to just wait that one out. and just not take a trade, right? If we push all the way up to 5,200, that's pretty much it. Yeah, dude, great play. I'm sure everyone, when they woke up and they looked at the dashboard, you guys thought the exact same thing. Oh, we're going to 5,200 today, right? I mean, who woke up and just saw the dashboard and saw 5,200 and be like, okay, I know where we're headed. Yeah, today was a very easy morning. Damn, this is a gnarly pullback. Let's see. If we can get... Oh, 5150 does have some, but 5,200 is just massive. All right, I see something. Could wait to long this back to 5,200. Wouldn't be, or for an entry for longs, wouldn't be bad. Yeah, the tool is good for a lot of things, right? In the sense of like 5190 was also that next Gex level, right? So if we pull it up on the chart. Yeah, 5190, and then you have 5,200 up there. Then you have 5175. I don't think 5150 is safe in the sense of like we could also hit 5150, but one thing to just really keep your eyes out for is just making sure that if we get down lower and then you want to take stab at longs, I would wait for 52. I'd wait for like a tap at 5150 because that is, in my opinion, the next, like, number one, it's a psychological level. Number two, it is a relative Gex level too. So just keep that in mind. This, I personally wouldn't even take this. I do think there is a potential for 5150. Bib settings are this. Oh, stop. You can take a screenshot of it, whatever you want to do, or take a photo on your phone. I'll leave it up there for another couple seconds. All right, there's also this down to this for another. She was right here at the time. But even then, wouldn't want to take that short, although it would have paid. Don't want to take that, in my opinion. Because if you see this big Gex at 5,200, that is a telltale sign. There's that bounce off of that. And so hopefully you caught something, right? Or you caught an entry there for longs back up. 5,200 is just so massive today. It did drop off a little. I remember looking at it earlier. It's at like 6.0. So it's at 3 now. Do we need to purchase a subscription to get access to the Discord? Yeah, so if you have a subscription, what happens is once you log into the dashboard, you'll go through like a small onboarding where it kind of gives you small details of how to customize the dashboard. And then at the end, there'll be like a Discord connection thing. Gex for Monday also shows 5150 as important level. Yeah, so I was actually looking at all of next week. aggregate view. 5150 is pretty big, but I saw this here at 5,000. That susses me out, given that it is the largest on split, right? So it could get really fucking interesting next week. If you take DEX for just Monday. Yeah, 5150 is an important level. So in my opinion, 5150 should act like support for today if we do get down there. Oh, that's because we have CPI next week. Holy shit. That's why. Man, all this jam-packed news days, like, I have not been liking. Because all the moves have been free market. It makes it very difficult to kind of take those into account. If we were to head down, would you expect negative GEX days? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt we get some negative GEX days going into next week if we head down there. NQ just snapped low of day. Alright, guys. Well, NQ snapped low of day. ES did not, I don't think. This is a doozy for sure. I think ES will take this one out. If we were to head down to that far, would you expect negative GEX days? Can you explain the rejection to 5190 since the biggest exposure was at 5200? Yeah. Let me see. Let me go back to today's data. So I don't know if this was specified, but for those who are like OGs, they kind of know it's always plus minus 5 to 10 points. Can you show the two bottom charts? Me. You know what's interesting though? The more I look at it at this, the reason why I don't like, if you remember from earlier, you can play back the video. Actually, even I'm gonna do that. 1 second. What time is this? 51:71. Okay, so right here, right? Take a look at this video, right? If you look at this, 5,200 on Gex de-adjusted. Yeah, that's de-adjusted. Doesn't really show as much as raw, right? So with that being said, when I look at that, that's also another like, how do I put it? That's another sign that it's how do I put it? Because I still think we go to 5,200 if it stays the way it does. That's just my personal opinion. But de-adjusted didn't show as much info on that. But there's one thing right now happening where it's like ES took out that low. I mean, NQ took out that low. ES didn't take out that low. So I do think we go back up. Can you show which bottom two are you talking about more specifically? Sorry. SPX only up 9 points for the day. NDX is down 40 points. If 5,200 on raw stays, guys, that's my biggest thing is like it's finding entries for said like plays and setting yourself up, right? If you see where we are currently, right? Now that you see the data and where we are sitting is 5165, right? 5,200 is big. So this is what I would do for the day. I would wait for 5150 to potentially hit. If 5,200 is still there, then you can wait to long that. But keep in mind, the exposures are pretty much the gamma curve, right? S51 the biggest bar, and we went through it. I'm confused and frustrated. 5150 was the biggest bar yesterday. Okay. So kind of recap yesterday then, right? Remember, these GEX levels are kind of like support and resistance, and keep in mind, it's playing probability, right? Where not every time is it going to hit, and I think people are kind of forgetting that. When we finally got above 5,200, right around here, right, or 5,150, we blew through it, right? You kind of want to watch the next thing is, are we going to, it's going to chop around 5,150 just given that it's big, but when we start using it as support, this is where the price action understanding comes in, where it's like, okay, you see all this, right? At 5,200, at 5,150, you see that we're using it as support. Even here, we went under, but we wicked on the 5 minute, right? That's the biggest like sign that, okay, this is accumulating or this is consolidating right above 5,150, then you can expect higher. And on top of that, if I remember correctly, 5,160 was also a level and 5,170 was a level yesterday too. Those were the two main levels, right? Or the three levels were 5,150, 5,160, 5,170, right? Mitchell even called it out. It was like, okay, above 5,160, 5,170 is going to pick up, right? So there was a relatively defined range for the day. NVIDIA is the key, ripping lower on high vol. It needs to slow reverse for 5200 in my opinion. I wouldn't doubt it. NVIDIA has just been fucking absolute monster. I don't doubt that it hits like 1,000. So de-adjusted GEX didn't show as much as 5200 raw. And because de-adjusted GEX has more info, you can make the assumption that NVIDIA was not going to hit completely. Yeah, and that's a good way of putting it. But the one thing that we like to focus on and that we talk about a lot is like, once again, right, for those who are OGs, they kind of know GEX levels are usually 5 to 10 points plus minus, right? So you can go over 10 points, you can go under 10 points, anywhere between 5 to 10 points, right? Because that's when, as you get closer, that's when the hedging starts to pick up. Here comes 5150. Yeah, 5200 now, based on what I'm looking at on split, is just as big as everything else. There's that 5160 bounce at the positive GEX level. It's a tough day because you have a lot of AOIs here pretty much. There's so much interest across the board right now, like all here, right? You can see that. There's a ton of interest in between 5150 and 5200. And these moves are volatile because of NFP, like data release, so these moves are huge. Guys, every single day is different, and it's understanding when to employ each strategy. Right, Gio talked about this, and I'm almost positive he talked about it. Not every strategy is going to be the same for every single day, right? So understanding that it's I don't have a better way to explain it than other than like every single day is different, and understanding that you need to employ a different strategy every single time, dependent on the day is a big difference, right? For me personally, I can almost guarantee you, knowing myself, I would have bought calls at the open, but I wouldn't have caught the sell-off. This sell-off right here, I wouldn't have caught, and I know that. But this, knowing how I trade, I definitely would have caught that, right? But it goes back to knowing, I guess, your style. On top of that, knowing when to employ each strategy. It's like if I see a bar at the open, like if you were to look back at the date at the open, I'm sure 5200 was the absolute biggest. So I'm going to pull that up. This is the opening GEX. At 6:30 and 30 seconds in, this was the opening GEX. 5200 is massive, right, in comparison to everything else. So when I see that, okay, my immediate thought is, okay, I think we're going to go up, right? Although we get some form of pullback. Now, if you look at the day's data in comparison, right, let's even take this split image, copy image. Could have waited for 5150, but obviously that didn't hit. My eyes are usually on both at the same time, so it's kind of hard for me to be like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, the more I look at today, the more I kind of think like, okay, I probably would have waited for 5150, but I would have targeted, like, you're in a 50-point range at this point between these two levels, right? So for me, it's kind of just like waiting for a GEX level to hit and marking them on your chart and then kind of seeing what happens from there. But we all know it's all positive, so it's kind of just waiting for those positive levels to hit. And if you look here, we have a bar at 5190, 5190, 85, 80, 75, right? These two are the next closest to 5200. So those will be other extra levels essentially for trims on the way up or support levels to potentially long. Or if we break below, you can short them. Right, 190 never hit. So if it were me in this position, I'd wait for 50 and I'd buy pretty much at the money calls. This is what I'd be waiting for. 5150 and then buy some at the money calls. How do we interpret 5200 being big on GEX split but not at all on de-adjusted? Like I said, I use split more. Okay. I have a good example for this. Right now, you have an obvious 5150, right, on raw, and then you have an obvious 5150 on de-adjusted, right? So with that being said, what is the most ideal thing to do here? How do you time your trades? I wait for gamma levels. I wait to tap gamma levels because I know the gamma curve and the gamma impact, right, is at the money. So waiting for these levels to hit is most important in my opinion. So until we get to 5150, right, you have an obvious split on raw. You have an obvious one on de-adjusted. So you can long 5150 in my opinion. Right, it's just waiting for 5150 to hit. So once that hits, I don't doubt that we get a potential bounce at 5150, and then you can long that, right? If you wanted to wait, or if you don't want to take a trade, you can take these, you can mental trade these, just because if you're unsure, then you can kind of just wait, right? If you're not willing to put on that risk, then you wait, and then you mentally trade them. So like when we get to 5150, it would be something like this. Long, can long it to 60, take a trim. So as you push up, right, this would be the main target or the extended target, but you have trim levels going up. You have 60, you have 75, like these are levels to trim. You have previous supports, previous resistances, right? Just looking at the price action, you can kind of just obviously see that there is a level here, right? There is a level right here. Does that kind of make sense right now? You have previous resistance. We acted like support. We acted like resistance. So you know that this 68 level is probably going to be a good trim. 60, obviously, GEX level, good trim. 75, GEX level, good trim, right? But it's just waiting for it to come down to this point. Why I never play out the money contracts? That's just not I don't like playing out the money contracts. Because when it goes too far out the money, then you're more prone to, I guess, declines in value. So like if it goes against you, you have, because think about it like this. If you're with options, it's great in the sense of like you have a defined risk. If you're willing to lose $1,000, then you put in $1,000, whether it's $1,000 in out the money contracts or $1,000 in at the money contracts, right? At the money contracts, if you have equal dollar amount value in out the money versus at the money, out the money, yes, will make more, but it will lose quicker if the trade goes against you, right? Let's say right here, we take a, SPX 5155 call versus SPX 51 versus SPX 5190 call, right? If this trade goes against you and it hits your stop loss, right? Now let's say at this point, this trade goes down to here and you get stopped out, right? At this point, you lose less if you're in the 5155 calls versus the 5190 calls. But keep in mind, now if we follow this trend and we go up, right, you will make more with the 5190 calls, but you will make less with the 5155 calls. However, they will be in the money. Yeah, essentially, okay, that's a good way of putting it. You're leveraging more without the money contracts. 5150 comes. Might take some calls. See, now 5200 is gone, practically, right? It's pretty much equal across the board now on split. Whoa. He adjusted 5100. How's NQ looking? Right, guys, 5200 is practically equal across the board. So if you're taking longs at 5150, that would be a scalp trade. That would most definitely be a scalp in my opinion. Actually, I wouldn't even take a long here. I don't like that. The adjusted 5100 pickup, and we are getting some negative Gex pickup below. And on Raw, 5100 is picking up. I wouldn't even take this trade. I would not take 5150 longs, guys. Surprised it's not a negative net gamma day. When we get to 5140, it'll be negative. Today's volatility is fat. It is very, very high. Yeah, good thing we didn't long that. Oh, we just ran through that low. We ran through that low too. Holy balls. How many points is this? 280, almost a 300 point sell off on NQ. That's wild. Move this over to this side. It's a really shitty day, actually, the more I look at it. Short NQ based off NVIDIA. So 1 hour volume was less than super rare. Very nice trade. Very, very nice trade. Where is my chart? There it is. Sorry, 1 second, guys. Yeah, there's a ton of things to learn with this. It makes it tough. Like it's we talk about it a lot in the sense of like it's not something you can pick up in a day. It's something that you pick up through like watching it in the classes for multiple weeks, even months, and then also watching it live, right? That's a big one. It's like watching it live is such a big difference. Oh, look at that. The 5-minute hold? I guess we did. 5150. That split wall. Huge. Wait, no, not this one. Leave this here. Maybe that long at 5100 was a good move. Or 5150, sorry. We'll hit 5200 today. I wouldn't bet on it. Right? As we talked about, 5200 now is practically equal across the board. I think if we get back up and then you see these and then you see 5200 pick up, then that's pretty much a telling sign. Damn, should have longed that one. I was right, motherfucker. Should have longed it. Execution has been out lately. Why is Gamma still positive? Because we never even hit Gex Flip. Gex Flip was at 40. Usually Gex Flip is where the port flips from positive to negative. If we had hit 40, I wouldn't doubt for a moment that it turns negative for a little bit. Or it'd be closer to neutral. I've noticed de-adjusted and raw skews have been conflicting. How do you handle that? You can sit it out. However, there is a big however. If certain things line up on de-adjusted and raw, right? In the sense of like, okay, 5150, biggest one. 5150, biggest one, right? Then you kind of have an idea of where we're going to bounce. Like I said earlier, we should have like longed 5150, but I saw 5100 pickup, and that made me a little bit nervous or hesitant to long it, despite being in a positive exposure environment. Should have definitely still longed that one, but it is what it is, right? And then keep in mind, remember what I said, right? 5200 kind of fell off. So when you see something like that, and then you also have this, and then you have this, right? You can still long 5150, but keep in mind now that it's kind of 5200 just kind of fell off, it would have to be a scalp, right? There isn't much conviction telling you to hold for more, but you still can long the bounce off 5150. And that was my fault. I missed that one. Like I said, I still should have longed it, but should have treated it as a scalp. All right, it's understanding if things don't line up, then your trade is going to have to be executed differently, right? 1 second, doing something for Mitchell. Guys. Thinking about that's when Gio was talking about when he mentioned average mean and Pearson coefficient. My guy, I don't know all that. I'll be honest. That one, not my area of expertise. Why is beta not loading? Okay, that's odd. Is it gonna rain today? Chance of precipitation 0%. I like. Got tagged in something. You know what? I'm glad I didn't stab longs. Fucking hell. That thing is... Okay, so it seems like anytime we get below 5150, 5100 picks up on D-adjusted. It's not my favorite. It's not something I like to see. I'm just going to get rid of this. It's not loading for me. Sorry, I'm catching up in the chat. I can vouch for my trades definitely being executed. What is your thought process and best technique for when approaching Gex level with an expectation of bounce? Do you average in or buy protection on the other side? What is a red flag for you? Red flag is that, right? 5100 is picking up on the adjusted. So things aren't lining up. Why would I take a trade then if things are not lining up, right? Why would I take an ODTE options trade if things are just not lining up, right? It's looking at the data and understanding that they're not lining up, right? Why would I long and target 5200 if it's just the same amount of gamma exposure as the rest of them, right? Every time we get below 5100 or 5150, 5100 on D-adjusted picks up, right? There's just things that there's so many moving parts to this that it definitely makes it tough to understand, but understanding the small things of just marking the levels first and treating them as levels, right? That's the simplest way to go about how to implement the data, is literally marking them out on your chart the way Puts is doing it, right? You can see that he's marking them out on his chart. That is the simplest way to start implementing these, right? And then that goes into the next thing, understanding price action, right? Because no matter what, if you don't understand price action, this is going to be a harder thing to learn, right? If that makes sense. And it's also sizing, risk management, all those things play a huge role in this, where it's like, okay, if 5150 is not holding, then why would I long 5150, right? But if you can look here, we're holding relatively okay. Is this still a long that I would want to take? Personally, no, right? 5200 isn't picking up enough. I don't have clear targets above 5150. So with that being said, it's like, okay, then I'm going to treat if I do take a long at 5150, I'm going to treat it as a scalp and not expect much more of an expansion to the upside, right? So it's just kind of getting into that and understanding when to deploy a scalp, when to deploy a hold. I'm a scalper at the end of the day. I can't hold, right? My mental is not, for whatever reason, I never hold for longer price targets. I take it for a scalp. All right, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, hold for 5,200, especially if the 5,200 levels are the same. Scalp is like 20%. 20% return, 10% return. Like if a contract goes from, let's say this is a scalp, right? If a contract goes from, if a contract from a 3-point move, dude, why is my computer so laggy? If a contract goes, let's say you buy it for 5 point. Dude, why is this so laggy? Hold on 1 second. I have so many things running, that's why. Okay. The contract goes from 5.0 to 6.0. I will take that. If a contract goes from 5.2 to 6.0, I will take that. Or 6.0, sorry, not 6.2. Right? I will take 10% to 20%, understanding that it's a scalp. A scalp is you're in and you're out very quickly. Less than like 5 minutes even. Less than, sometimes even like 30 seconds can be a scalp. Scalps are day trades, just shorter amount of time in the trade, if that makes sense. Scalps are all pretty much like, I'm defined by scalps. Yeah, scalps are my go-to. I suck at holding, so I always prefer scalp. And that's just my personality. If you're fast enough to execute a scalp, great. If you're not, then these trades probably will not be for you. You could have perfect scalps with the least noise. What would they be? 20% within like 30 seconds. Like the least noise. What is your R to R on a scalp? Literally like probably 0.5, not even like a 1R. I'll just like to keep it a buck. Like scalps have the worst R to R in my opinion, almost every time. So the best picture of data that makes the most excited trade looks like what? Like this. Take a blue bar. Take that. Get a blank screen going. Oh, hold on. It's open here. Right here. Google. Okay. Take a blue bar. Get it as close as we can to that. Doom, 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 doom. Boom. Doom, 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 doom. And spot price like right here. Best data ever. This setup, huge. Just go for that. When I see something like that, that's it. Nothing else, just one giant bar, 10, 15, 20 points away. We'll take that long every time, size for zero. Scalps, like I said, I keep it a buck with you. Scalps are always going to be like literally like 0.5 R at most. They have the most terrible R to Rs. Yeah, a giant fucking middle finger pattern. You feel me? That's the best setup. A giant middle finger pattern. The ultimate setup. Where is my trading view? Here it is. What have we done? Absolutely nothing. It is 9 o'clock now, guys. So I'm going to end the stream. It is lunch hour in the East Coast, so I expect nothing but low volume going into this hour. So nothing much, but hopefully you guys learned something. As always, next week, live every day. Next week, live class every single night, right? Why? because Papas is leaving to go on vacation the next 2 weeks after next week. So in a sort of compensation for me leaving for 2 weeks, I'm going to do a live class every single night, and we're going to open that up to the public. So that's the plan going into next week. That is the one, right? So hopefully that gives me time to kind of just relax, do nothing, don't look at the charts. For 2 weeks, and then, but we will have class every single night next week on my mama, whether it's sitting there and do fucking nothing and just do recap, shoot the shit with you guys. I will be on in the morning and I will be on at night just to shoot the shit, talk more, do whatever is necessary for that week. Yeah. Don't want to leave you guys hanging with nothing, so we'll get that probably on YouTube. Either on YouTube or I'll just send out a giant Zoom, because I think our Zoom allows for 500 people. So just gonna open that up to the public. I'll put out an announcement. Keep up with, if you're not subbed to Traderlink, keep up with our Twitter. I'll post it on Twitter, on the Traderlink Twitter. For those who don't have it, it's just at Traderlink Apex. Let me send out the link really quick. It's out there. So if you're not subbed, you can just go to our Twitter, and I will post Twitter stuff going into next week. But classes will likely be at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. That's when I'm gonna plan on hosting it, and yeah. So from that, I think that's it for the rest of this week. Expect our newsletter to come out Sunday evening. Yeah, I keep saying Twitter, but it's X. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. And as always, keep moving forward. See you guys next week.